Hello, it's Jesse with ZBH Tech, and I'm back with you today with a product review. So this is the UeeVii CPE452. Let me spell out that product name. It's UeeVii. Again, this is the CPE452, and this is a wireless point-to-point bridge. So really quick, what is a wireless bridge? Well, think of wanting to connect one part of your home to another using a standard Ethernet cable run. You could connect, say, your house to your garage, your house to an outbuilding of some kind. This allows you to accomplish that, but without needing to run that Ethernet cable. Sometimes it's a lot of work, the distance could be a problem, and that can sometimes cause a hindrance to the point where you can't connect those two networks together. And maybe you have to have two internet connections, separate connections, in order to connect those two through the internet, through a VPN, say. This will allow you to connect those 2 points together wirelessly and allow you to extend your network. So you could use things like have Wi-Fi in your garage, or maybe you have some video cameras located at another location within a short distance. This wireless bridge would allow you to accomplish that without the need of running that physical Ethernet cable. So I believe these are rated for about 1.2, 1.3 miles. So I'm going to be way short of that. Be about 500 feet from me today. We're going to go through the install and go ahead and do the setup as well. And then I'm going to test, and I'm going to do some speed tests, show you kind of what kind of performance we're getting through that connection. And yeah, so let's get started with the unbox and get to it. All right, so I've got everything pulled out of the box. So when you open the main box, you're going to have two separate boxes. The box on the right here contains basically the mounting hardware that you're going to put in your home or outside of your home or outside of your business, whatever your application is. You get the two mounting poles. Of course, this would mount like this. You install the AP on the pole. You also get the hardware, where if you want to drill directly into the holes here, you can, into your building. You also have these clamps. These you can tighten down and install the to a pole mount, more of a pole mount type of situation. So, and then here on the left, this box includes all the actual hardware for the APs as well. So you've got two, sorry, a little bit of grass on there, two PoE injectors. Obviously you've got your LAN coming in and then your PoE power out. You can see that there. And which is really nice. It's nice that they include these so you don't have to have a PoE switch necessarily. Now, if you have a PoE switch, you'll just want to pay attention to the voltage and power requirements and just make sure your switch supports what these are asking for. So this is a really good addition. They give you two Ethernet cables as well. And then you've got the two smaller clamps here that you'll be able to mount the AP to. So, over here on this end, you'll be able to mount those right to it. And then obviously you've got the two access points themselves here. So there is an option to you can skip the pole and just go right to a fixture. Or you can put it around the pole. Now the nice thing about using the pole is that you can change. So as you're installing these and you put these on, if you need to put this, say, to the wall and then rotate these so that they're pointing at each other, that's the nice thing about using these poles. So I would recommend, and that's what I'm going to plan on using, is my house faces a different direction than the location I'm going to be mounting these to. So I'm going to want to rotate these around so they point at each other. And then here on the bottom, you have let's get this off. You open that up and you have the connections in here. So you've got two Ethernet ports, a LAN 1 and a LAN 2. And then you also do have, looks like a power port there, but we're going to be using PoE. And then you do have a primary and a secondary switch. So you'll make one of these primary and the other one secondary, which is going to be the setup procedure. So let's go ahead and just get these put back here. And then also, they do include, obviously, a user manual. So there are the details there. Again, it's the CPE452. It's a wireless bridge. And there's info there. And then you do have just kind of a general install on how to mount these to a pole or how to put these directly into your building, whatever that may be, home, business. So yeah, we're gonna get this installed. We'll go through the setup process and we'll see you in just 1 minute. So I have one set to B and the other one set to A on that little toggle switch there. Okay, so next I'm gonna plug them in. I'm gonna use that reset, that's kind of blurry, that reset button over there in the corner. I'm gonna make sure that both of these have the same number. Okay, I'm gonna turn them on. I'm gonna toggle through that till they both have the same number or letter, and then they should pair up and both of the signal strengths should go green, and then you should see full connection. That is the pairing process. I have installed the bracket here, and I have the clamps all ready to go here. I'm gonna put it here on the roof, and then it can point over to the second building, which is actually the mother-in-law's house, but I spend a lot of time there and I wanted my network extended over there. So what I've done now, let me just show you. Sorry about the camera, I'm up on the roof. So I have the PoE plug plugged in, and you're gonna want the one that says PoE on the switch on the PoE injector to run to the CPE, so the unit here. And then there is a little flip switch under there, and if you look at the diagram here, it should say primary or secondary or A and B, transmitter, receiver. I'm gonna have this be my transmitter from my home. Over there will be my receiver. So I just wanna make sure they're set opposite one from another. And then also, I want to make sure that I get this locked back up. So it's got a little cover that will cover this that should make it weatherproof. And there is an extra Ethernet port there, but I don't need that for what I'm gonna be doing. So I will already have a connection back into my network through that PoE and back into my switch. Okay, so here I have it installed on the roof. Now I decided actually to move it up a little higher on the roof. I scrapped the idea of trying to install on the house itself and just went right to the roof. And I went up a little higher on the roof to give me a better line of sight. I installed it directly using the hardware, and it worked perfectly. The screws were just long enough, and I've sealed those up. Now I can rotate this CPE here. I have those clamps loose so that I can rotate it back and forth. And then once you're finished lining it up, then you're going to tighten everything down. Now, on the side there, you'll see the signal indicators. They're really helpful when lining things up. So, yeah, that's really great to have those lights, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I am back here, and I'm across the street and over at my in-laws' home. And let me just show you what I've done. So, let's get the camera positioned here. So I have my other access point or CPE here, and I've pre-positioned, got the clamps ready. So I've used the existing, I think it was like a satellite TV bracket that was already in the house, and I put this bracket, it fit right in. And where I'm going, sorry for the angles here, I'm going across the street. Now you can't see, there's a little bit of my tree in the way. Oh, I'm so sorry for the videoing here. All right, so my house is directly to the right hand, so you can see that car way far in the distance, and it's just up above on the roof. So if I had to, I could trim a little bit of my tree, but so far when I point it over there, I'm getting a good strong signal. So what I'm gonna do is just, again, I'm gonna recap what to do to pair these two. So one of the switches needs to be on A and one needs to be on B. And this is for the point-to-point wireless bridge. So if you just pop the cover off, you can see inside you've got a little switch, an Ethernet port, a display, another Ethernet port, and a power port that we're not going to use because we're using PoE. So you're going to get both of these turned on, and then you're going to push this, and you're going to cycle through. It goes through A, B, C, D. I put mine on E, and then it assigned a number along with it. and make sure that both of them are on the same letter. And then I just held them up to each other just for a few, like 45 seconds. And what happened is the status indicator, or the signal strength indicator, lit up green, and it stayed there for a few minutes, or a few seconds actually, and then it went off. And then when I went back to this, instead of this flashing, it was flashing this indicator here, it went solid. And so now both of these are paired and they're good to go. So you shouldn't need to mess with this anymore. So I'm going to throw this back on, and I'm going to mount this to the little pole over here, and I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like. So we have the access point installed, and in fact, let me just take my camera out of the tripod here. So you can see that I have full bars and my wireless LAN light is lit up. So I should be good there. Got my power, and I use that existing bracket, and then there was existing cabling too. So there was some cabling put here by another company, and yeah, I used it because it ran right down into the room I wanted it to run. So here's kind of the finished install here. So if I take a kind of a walk, I'm going to show you here. And so if I get right down and I look straight ahead, I can see that this is pointing, right on. And obviously my signal indicator is also, dead on as far as full strength. So I've got this all done. I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to install one of my access points from my own house inside this home, and then I can do some speed tests and kind of finish this up. But yeah, so far so good. Let's go give it a test. Okay, so I'm going to do an internet speed test here. So I should get close to 100 meg on the download, which I am. I'm in the 90s, which is good. That's around the 10% threshold, plus or minus there. And then my upload speeds are only 20 on my connection for my internet, and I'm getting the 20 plus there, so that's good. And the latency is really good as well. It adds about 6 or 7 milliseconds onto the latency, but overall, test looks great. All right, so I'm going to wrap up with some tips and some configuration screens. So bear with me. There's a lot of info here. I'm going to cover a few things in detail. Others I'm just going to kind of skip over. Just kind of depends on whether I changed a setting or left it alone. So tip number one, get those two access points, or CPEs. I use those kind of interchangeably. Get those configured before you get up on your roof. I made the mistake of getting on the roof first, and then I had to pair them. So get that pairing done downstairs, where it's convenient for you. Get those PoE injectors plugged in, get the CPEs on, go through that pairing process and get that done before you get up on the roof. Tip number two is keep things not mounted tight. Keep them a little bit loose so that you can adjust them. Once you get them lined up and you get the signal strength where it's as good as you can get it, tighten everything down so it doesn't move on you. All right, and then tip number three is use these screens that I'm going to show you to your benefit. So once you get them lined up and you have those LED meter lights where they're as solid as you can get them, then it's time to go in the house and it's time to get your computer turned on and get the IP address of your CPEs put in. I left mine on DHCP, which means my router gave an IP address, and that works good for me because then I don't have to worry about statically setting it. And also I set a reservation, which means that my IP address doesn't change. It always gets assigned the same one. So that's the route that I took. So I'm here at the main screen. I have the IP address of the remote CPE put in, which would be the one across the street. The default username and password is admin and admin. Recommend that you change that as soon as you sign in. Okay, and that's what I did, and it should prompt you when you first sign in. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log in, and let's get the mouse here. All right, so this first screen that I come up to is the bridge setting, and this is what I want. I'm not going to use this as an access point. I'm not going to use it as a station repeater. So you can see that there's a few options here. I'm not going to go into those. I left all of this alone. Now this slave, or this B that number one tells me that it's my remote location. I set my main house as A, or primary, and my remote location, that little dip switch, as B, or that refers to it as slave. Okay, so primary, secondary is how I like to think of it. And then I left my matching ID frequencies alone, didn't mess with them there, and I didn't do any network setting changes because, like I said, I used DHCP, which is the router giving the IP address to the bridge. Okay, and then let's go down and go over some of the real helpful troubleshooting, and because I did have an issue I want to talk about real quick, but it wasn't with the APs or the CPEs, it was my own problem. So first, let's go over this. So we've got the remote location. It gives us information about time. It gives us information about that I have DHCP enabled here. All right, and so I can see that this IP address has been handed out to my CPE, and that I have a good link, or that I'm linked up. And then down here at the bottom, I can see that I have my signal strength. So this is the signal strength of my remote location communicating with my primary location. And I'm in the green, and that is good. And I also see that I have 300 and 300 here, okay? These CPEs will communicate with each other at 300 megabytes per second. Don't think that you're going to get 300 throughput, because the Ethernet, or the NIC, network interface, is only 100 meg, all right? So the max you're going to get both up and down is 100, but a good rule of thumb is within 10%. So you should be getting 90 plus if you have good, strong signal and you don't have anything in the way. So line of sight is important. Try to get it as clear as you can. Don't go through a window if you can possible, can help it. I started with mine with some tree branches in the way. I moved my one axis, or CPE, over so that I had a clear line of sight. That's how you're going to get the best performance. So I can see I'm in the green on my signal. I can see that I have a good solid 300 with my throughput. Okay, so now that this all looks good, I'm going to go down here to monitor. Now here's where I found a problem. My remote location, I was getting really bad speeds, like 10, 12, 13 megabits per second. It was rough. I realized that this 100 full here said 10. And so I'd done so many changes, and I had rebooted so many times that my CPE had fallen down to 10 full instead of 100. So all I did is reboot the CPE, and the 100 came right back. And I think that partially was an issue with my networking equipment at my remote location. So once I did the reboot, it came right back to 100. So you're going to want to make sure it says 100 full on both sides. Okay, once you have that, you're good to go. Your throughput should be great. And you saw in my speed tests, I was getting 90 plus on my download speed. My upload speed was only in the 20s, but that's because my internet connection is limited to like 20 to 25. So that is totally in range. And my upload and download speeds just through network traffic alone is in the 90s, both directions. And as you just kind of scroll through here, your wireless LAN, this is going to give you an indication of basically your signal strength, okay, which you can see notated here. And then my ETH0 is the only port that I'm using. I'm not using both ports on the CPE. That's why ETH0 shows 100 full. I can see my current connection speeds, how much data I've transmitted and received. And then my ETH1 is 0. I'm just not using it. It's not plugged in at all. And then as I get down here, my LAN is kind of the combination of both of these. So this is going to pretty much match this for the most part. Okay, so these screens here are very helpful in troubleshooting if you have a connection problem. Or you can run a speed test, and you should be able to see these correspond with that test. All right. So these are the setup screens that I did. I didn't really change much. You have the option to come in here and change a lot of things. I left everything at default except my coverage distance, okay? This was important because you do have a message here that says that if you increase this too large, you could have a performance issue. I changed mine to, this is meters. So I did a meters to foot conversion and came up with the 320 is about the distance of my primary to my secondary site. I did change this on both sides. So I logged in to the other CPE and made a change here. I left all these at defaults. Didn't change anything here. Didn't need to. And that's really it. So at the end of the day, those are my speeds and those are my tests. And you could see that with my speed tests that I ran. My tips, those are pretty much it. Overall, the product is working great. I've had it installed now for about 2 weeks, and I have had no problems at all. My site over on the other side, my remote site, I haven't had any issues. It's been solid. The signal strength has been great, and I do like that they're rated at 100 because I don't want that remote site to use any more bandwidth than I want it to use, and that 1/3 rule is great for me. I have like a 300 meg connection on my internet connection, and I don't want that remote site using any more than 1/3 of that, which would be about 100 meg, right? So if I have a lot of family members, a lot of people over there, the max they can use is 100, and for me that's great because that's plenty of speed for what I'll do over there and for what the people that are over there will use. So if you like this content, I sure would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to this video. That helps me out a lot. And I give this a positive review. It included all the equipment that I need. It included the instructions. The devices were pretty easy. Just make sure you follow that pairing process and get that done first, and then move up to your roof or to the building or to your outside or wherever you're going to install them. And that's it. So until next time, have a good one, and thank you for watching.